Now, up until this point, we haven't actually removed any screws or anything like that from the dash. Now we need to, because we have to get these 4 screws out of place. These are T20s, to remove this whole bucket out of the dash. For that, we like to grab one of these little totes we picked up from Target. Now, according to the instructions, they would like us to start cutting some of this area in here to make room for it. I'd like to just take this out altogether. To do that, it is snapped into the gauge cluster. So we're gonna have to remove a few more pieces than what the instruction says, but I feel it's worth it. Cutting this on the bench just makes a little bit more sense. The first piece that we need to get rid of is the gray trim here across the bottom, which is okay because we wanted to add some sound treatment. It uses the same exact pins that this piece uses. So as you can imagine, they are gonna be a little bit trying to get out. Not too bad. And they're again way too many. So originally I had thought that the gauge cluster was in the way of this. It's not. It's just get this piece out of the way, and now this whole piece will slide right out just like that. As you can see, it has this weird shape to it. None of this back area is needed. The plan is to take this over. We'll just trim it like right here at this bend. And that'll give us a nice double din style opening for this. And now we have like tons of room in the dash to do anything we want. This particular vehicle, dude, this has a center channel. I don't know if it's hooked up. I mean, it's plugged in.
But maybe it's the
it could just be a sum of left and right, like they do in the Toyota.
Bluetooth?
No, I mean, I don't know. I've never heard your Bluetooth in here. But either way, it has a speaker in here. This particular vehicle has a place for a center channel speaker, and at some point we are going to put a center channel in here, because why would we not? Removing that can gave us a ton of room. We can cut it, make it work a lot better. We're moving on to the center console area because we have to get the factory USB location out. Referring back to our laptop here with our instructions on it, it shows us removing the left and right side panels of the lower dash, and also removing the top of the gear shifter here. There's a screw all the way in the back, all the way deep into here on both sides that needs to come out. With that done, this whole side panel will basically slide back. There's these little tongues, finger things that slide in. So you slide the whole unit back on both sides, and then you can get it out of the car. Wow.
Dude, can we put a subwoofer inside?
Hi! There's a lot of room up underneath this here, which is cool. For this silver trim that is around the gear shifter, it'll just pull up. It's one of the few things in the car that easily enough to come up. Just has some really basic clips holding it in place, which is nice and refreshing for a change. Underneath it is 2 more of the T20s. And the nice thing is that all of these T20s are the exact same T20, so you do not have to remember where this stuff came from. Remove 2 T20 bolts and remove panel and disconnect harness. Okay. This whole thing should come up. To get the gear shifter trim out, grab it in a nice solid spot like right here and pull up vertically the whole way. Turn the boot sideways and tuck it through the hole. There are some harnesses on here that can be removed. I have a red one on my side, and there's 2 black harnesses on the driver's side. With that on clip, it pulls right out. Now this is the push to start button, so at this point you're not going to be doing anything else in this car that requires you shifting gears or anything like that. I can see it better from this side. Actually, if you hold the light, because I don't have that thing in the way here.
Okay, let me hold this. Okay.
Perfect. Here, move your hand. All right, getting the USB out is kind of kludgy. There's 2 clips along the bottom, 2 clips along the top that you have to push down. The ones at the top are very hard to get to, the ones on the bottom are easy. The panel essentially just kind of falls apart in your hand, which is okay. It's not like it's breaking, it's just coming apart, which should make it easier for us to get to those top screws. Okay, got the top.
But it gotta be this side.
Got this side.
This side?
Watch out. Oh, you let go.
No, because I'm holding it on this side.
No, that's...
You see, like...
Yeah. Alright. This is it here. Okay, there's actually 6 clips, not 4. And they suck. They basically suck. You're gonna have a lot of fun getting this out. I don't know whatever way to make it any better. It just stinks. Tool that helped is a really long pick tool. So you could get up in there and push those things down. 2 people, obviously best way to go at this. If you're one, my guess is you're just gonna manhandle the crap out of it until it comes out of the dash. But okay, we have all the pieces apart that we need to get apart for this installation. Join me on the bench and we'll start putting together the dash kit in order to get this into the car. In the box we saw that there was 2 dash bezels. This is for the floating screen Pioneer, which we're not using, and this one is for everything else. We were doing a double din. There is a bunch of screws on the back side here to remove this. If we wanted to put the radio at the top or bottom, this just unscrews and is designed to flip, so it will go either way. The metal bracket here has a left and a right on it, and it has these 2 lips, or one on bottom, one on top. And just in case you were curious, on the back side here that you will be looking at, it does say top. The easiest way I've found to get this on is to flip this shiny side down, make sure there's something on there to protect it, and line it up so that those 2 lips are on the inside of the dash kit, and simply push it into place. Then grab the bag that has the 4 silver screws in it, grab yourself a Phillips screwdriver, and tighten them down. I strongly recommend not using a drill for this. These are really tiny screws, and really a drill might overpower them, and then you'll strip it out, and that would be unfortunate. If you're undecided on whether this should be on the top or bottom, don't put all 4 of these screws in, just put 2 in just to hold it in place. That way you can make all your adjustments and get it the way you want it. This is the kit here. The really cool thing is this uses those same clips from the factory radio. They're on this, meaning you're not taking them off the factory radio, but this is going to clip into it. And to demonstrate that, here is the bezel. We cut it off at that line we were talking about. Also sanded everything smooth. So we have this nice trim now, and this will screw back in. It sits like this, and this is going to come into it, and just like that, lock into place. And then our other bezel will go over the top of this and hold everything in place. If you're thinking, oh man, I could just do this, put it in, remember these screws are actually covered up by this kit, so definitely don't want to pre-build it all assembled. And with it out, we can easily just push these levers out of our way. The brain for our 9500 gonna sit like so. This will come over the top. And right away I figured there's gonna be a problem. On the old school chassis like this, there are these 2 teeth located here and here and here and here. These teeth are designed to keep the single din radio in the cage. Unfortunately, this is also the width of said cage, which means that this is going to get in the way if we're trying to slide it in from the back side, which is what most of us would do in a double din application. To remedy this unfortunate situation, there's 2 ways we can get around that. Easy enough, pull these screws back out, it's only 4 of them, and we'll put it in a different way. Or, if you're creative, daring, and you have a grinder, you can grind these off. I don't recommend doing that. So now we'll slide it in from the front like so. See how it's holding the radio? Yeah. Flip it back over. So now we'll end up with it like this, but we do need to put those screws back in, which is going to be a little bit more difficult because we have to have that radio in place. When you're doing one of the plastic style kits, this isn't really a big deal because they're plastic and they'll get out of the way. When doing a metal kit like this though, it is a little bit more unforgiving. So I'm gonna take my own advice and only put 2 screws in for right now, putting the other 2 back into the bag so I don't lose them. This uses a machine screw that comes in the Sony radio. It's not a coarse screw. Line this up, find your screw holes, and add in your screws. We'll go medium tightness on that side for right now, so we can get the second screw in on the other side. Push it into place. Now we can tighten that up, tighten that one up. Check our fitment on the front. Make sure it is centered and looking good. And then add in our second screw here at the top. This will keep the radio from twisting. Unlike plastic, when you use a metal dash kit, you can really get in there and tighten this thing up because it's not crushing the plastic, it's metal on metal. So you want to make sure that you get these super tight, and then it just like, yeah, just it becomes one with the piece. And there we go. We have it one with the piece. Looks good. This is sitting in about 1/8 of an inch. It looks very clean. Now we'll grab our screen. This is going to be not a permanent fixture right now. And the reason why is this screen is bigger than this dash kit. That means I'm gonna have to put this on after it's in the dash. I gotta still get that front bezel on around this and it's not worth the headache. Getting this to where it needs to be located and then removing it, the best move to make. We have it right now to where it is pushed all the way in. The only problem is right now it is sitting up really high in the dash, which I don't think Fernando wants to do. For that, I am going to remove these 2 side screws and lower the unit into place. That is the lowest it will go. How low do we want this thing? I mean,
That's the lowest?
That's the lowest it'll go. I mean, unless I take this down here, if I flip it and put this down here, then it will obviously go lower because this will be my new point. So I could get it 2 inches lower and then maybe go up with it.
Yeah, that would be good.
So is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
Did I mention how much you suck? All right, after you just heard, after getting it down as low as we could go, he would still like it to go lower. And just like we talked about, we will now remove these 2 screws. Now the bonus is if you're watching this and you're putting one of these in here, then you'll already know that you need to do this. These screws are not a 2 head, it's a 1 head, and there is a whole bunch of them. Fortunately, they're very short. There we go. Flip it like so. Now that is the top. Put our radio back into place. Now this might seem like an excessive amount of work, just trying to make sure that the radio is perfect in the dash. But keep in mind, the radio is what everyone is going to be looking at. No matter how pretty your harness is or how nice you've zip tied things into place or whatever you've done, it really doesn't matter because all they're seeing is this guy. Spending the extra time on this definitely makes more sense than spending any time anywhere else. Let's go take a look and see how this fits in the car and decide if we made the right move. So you want it low like that?
Yeah.
Do you want it lower? I mean, technically it can come down.
Correct.
As low as
just like this. Yeah.
So like the top.
Just like the top of the same
same height.
Same height. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's no buttons here. I don't think this will get in the way of the silver piece or the gray piece.
Oh, that's a good question.
No, I don't think it will. All right, this is the plan for right now. Let's put it here.